What's going on, y'all? I'm Czar, and in this video, I'm going to show you a brand new plugin from Baby Audio called Crystalline. Baby Audio is calling this a next generation algorithmic reverb, and it's definitely a reverb that has some very nice tricks up its sleeve. Let's go over the controls, and then I'll show you what it sounds like. So this is broken up into 4 sections. We got reflections, depth, cleanup, and shape. Starting at the top, we can select the skin for the plugin. We've got a white skin and a dark skin. Clicking the Baby Audio logo will bypass it, and we can bypass it as well on the right side. Up here, we can turn the help on and off. I'm going to turn it on for now, and when we do, and we hover over items, you'll see a pop-up at the bottom explaining what that function does, which is really helpful. All right, so with reflections, we've got size, sparkle, and width. The size is going to allow you to select the size of the reverb, which we can go as big as spacey down to tiny. The reflections is going to bring out the high frequencies in the reverb reflections, and we can bring that all the way up to 100. Width, so this has 3 types, and you can go in between here. So at 0 right now, we're just at wide. I could bring this all the way down to -100, making it mono. And if we go back to 0, we're at wide, and then we can go extra wide by going up to +100. Going down to depth, we've got resolution. We've got a choice between basic, high, and pristine. Modulation is just going to add some modulation. And shimmer is going to add a decay to the high frequencies. So we've got 2 times, 4 times, and 6 times available. And below that, we've got 2K, 4K, and 8K. And we can turn that on and off here. Going over on the other side, cleanup, we have dampening. We have sides, which is a high-pass filter. And then we've got gate. This is a really cool feature to have on a reverb if you're used to chaining plugins together to get a gated effect for your reverb. We've got it all here in this. The left side is your threshold and the right side is your release. And then at the bottom we have shape. This is a tilt EQ, which is going to make the reverb brighter or darker. We have smoothing for any harsh frequencies, and transients where we can add attack or sustain to the reverb here. In the middle section, we have a ducker, which is another great feature to have on a reverb. This is normally something I have to do manually with adding a compressor following the reverb into a sidechain to get it to duck. And we have 2 different modes here. We've got gentle and off. So off is going to be a more aggressive, pumpy ducker here, while gentle will be more smooth and natural. We can turn on a reverse. So this will reverse the reverb effect. And we've got a freeze that'll freeze and hold it as well. Wet and dry here. Now above that, something very unique to Crystalline that I haven't seen on any other reverb here. And this start and end is the start of the reverb and the decay of the reverb, or the end of the reverb. And while we've got this set to milliseconds here now, this start will be like a pre-delay, and then the end will be the decay, how long the reverb tail. But we can sync this. We set it to sync. Now we can sync this to time-based start and end times for the reverb to make for some really cool effects. All right, so let's check out how this sounds now. I've got a vocal here from K Penny, and I've got Crystalline on the lead vocal and the harmony vocal. And what I'm going to play for you right now is just the default settings. I don't think I really tweaked anything here, but this is just the default settings when you first pull it up.
You talk to me like you're toasting champagne. Let all my problems chauffeur to valet.
All right, so very nice sound just right out the gate with the default settings. But let's play with some stuff here. So we've had it at wide. This is the reverb mono.
You talk to me like you're toasting champagne.
And this is it at extra wide.
You talk to me like you're toasting champagne.
All right, we'll set that back. Let's jump over to the gate here. So with the gate, bring this threshold down some, and I'm going to play it to get it dialed in the way I want it. But with this gate, we're going to hear the reverb, but then the gate is going to cut it off after the reverb plays. So you're going to hear the reverb with the dry signal, but then you'll hear it cut it off. So there's no long reverb tail here.
You talk to me like you're toasting champagne. You talk to me like you're toasting champagne. Let all my problems chauffeur to valet.
All right, so you can start to hear that reverb tail get cut off by the gate. We'll drop the threshold a little bit more, set this release a little bit faster, just to make it more of a dramatic effect.
You talk to me like you're toasting champagne.
All right, and just so you can really hear it, let's solo the vocals.
You talk to me like you're toasting champagne. Let all my problems chauffeur to valet. Don't see any damage, just gave me sparkling habits. Now my issue is I want you and I just can't go back yet. You talk.
All right, so you can hear the gate turning or opening and closing. That's closing off that reverb tail. So that is helpful when you have a really long reverb tail that you want to play while the dry signal is playing, but then you can use the gate to cut it off so the reverb tail just doesn't go on and just keep continuing. All right, going down to the ducker here. We're going to turn up the ducker and we'll keep gentle on now and then we'll play it with it off. So what the ducker is going to do is it's going to duck the reverb when the dry signal. It really does the opposite of what the gate was doing, where the gate was letting the reverb play with the dry signal and then cutting it off after it. With the ducker now, it is going to duck or turn down the delay while the dry signal is playing, in this case the vocal, but then when the vocal stops, it's going to let that reverb tail ring out.
You talk to me like you're toasting champagne. Let all my problems chauffeur to valet.
All right, and now let's try with the gentle off.
You talk to me like you're toasting champagne. Let all my problems chauffeur to valet.
All right, now for the reverse. So we're going to turn this on, and now the reverb will be reversed.
Don't see any damage, just gave me sparkling habits. Now my issue is I want you and I just can't go back yet.
All right, now for the freeze and hold, I'm going to play it, turn this on, and then what that's going to do is freeze, hold that reverb in place until I turn it off. Let's go ahead and skip to another part here.
You found the queen of love, and she seems enough to risk it all for love.
And that would just continue until I turn it off. So that is automatable. That's something that can, you can really create some cool effects by just having that reverb tail just go on and just having that reverb just play until you decide to turn it off. All right, with the start and end times now. So we'll turn this to sync and we'll show you how this sounds with this synced up. Let's do like a, let's start it with a quarter note, and then we'll leave the decay time in milliseconds here, but we can set that to, we can sync that as well, time-based. Give it a little longer decay. All right.
You talk to me like you're toasting champagne. Let all my problems chauffeur to valet. Don't see any damage, just gave me sparkling habits. Now my issue is I want you and I just can't go back yet.
Really cool effect you can get with that. And lastly, what I want to show you is, let's turn on this automation. And this is just me automating this start with the sync time. Put that to read. Okay. So you can get like a scratching effect if you automate this. So you'll see this start moving as it's automating. This is me just grabbing the slider and writing some automation into it.
You talk to me like you're toasting champagne. Get all my problems chauffeur to valet. Don't see any damage, just gave me sparkling habits. Now my issue is I want you and I just can't go back yet.
All right, so a little sloppy there, but you get the idea of what you can do. I can just throw that in here and there just to add some cool like scratch effects with that, with the sync there. So final thoughts on Crystalline. This is a creative reverb that covers a lot of ground. We've got a lot of options here to do a lot of different things with. We can use it as just a standard reverb or do some sound design and get some crazy effects out of it. Really for me, it's the ducker and the gate. Having this already built into the plugin saves so much time, because with a gate, if I want to gate a reverb, I have to add a gate, side chain it. If I want to duck it, I've got to add a compressor, side chain it. We've got it built in right here for very quick and easy use. Smoothing, transients, that's just icing on the cake here. As well as the reverse and freeze. You can use this as just a basic standard reverb, or like I said, you can get crazy with it and get wild with some really interesting effects. And all of these features here are automatable, which just opens up even more possibilities. Think of automating the width here from mono out to extra wide and the sound that you can get with that. You can automate the size. You've already seen me automate the start time. Other things, automating the tone. There's a lot here that you can automate to go even further. So overall, I'm a huge fan of this plugin. All right, intro price for this is going to be $49, depending on when you're watching this. And if you want to learn more about this, check it out or pick it up. I've got a link in the description. If you like this video, I appreciate a thumbs up. And if you want to continue to see content from me, then you know what to do. All right, any questions, comments, let me know, and I'll catch y'all next time. I invite you to check out my podcast, the Faders Up Podcast, a podcast about pro audio and beyond. Season 3 is now underway, and in this season, we'll be doing a lot of topics requested by listeners. So if you have a topic you want to hear discussed on the podcast, email us, DM us, or join us in our Facebook group, Faders Up Podcast, and let us know. And if you haven't checked out the podcast yet, I have a link in the description that'll take you to the page.